Hello and welcome to another Kill Team Battle Report, where today the mission that we're going to play is something called the Master the Terminals. And in this mission, the operatives can perform an action called Divert Power for 1 AP on an objective that is online. And once they have performed that action, the objective then becomes secured, and that action cannot be performed by another operative on that objective. It is then secured for the remainder of the turning point. Once we have rolled off and the attacker and defender has been decided, starting with the attacker, you will alternate between selecting the number on each objective, and then depending on what turning point we're at, depends which number objective is offline and can't be activated for that particular turning point. So the teams that we have today is the Tyranids, in which we are running a Swarm Fire team and a Genestealer Fire team. So on the Swarm Fire team, we have 4 Hormagaunts and 4 Termagants. And the 4 Termagants will be upgraded with some equipment. They're all going to have an acid more each. So they'll be hitting on 2+, which is 8 EP. And then for the Genestealer team, we've got a Genestealer leader right here. His little friend on his shoulder. And on the Genestealer Fire team, this particular Genestealer over here is going to have Toxin Sacs, which means that if he gets a crit, he can turn one of his failed hits in combat into a normal hit. And the opposing team, we're going to have the Grey Knights. We'll have the Grey Knight leader here, the Justicar, with a Nemesis Demon Hammer and a Storm Bolter. We'll have a standard Grey Knight Warrior for the rest of them, and one of them will have a Nemesis Warding Stave. Now the equipment for the Grey Knights, we have Cybolt ammunition ×3, which costs 3 EP each, and we're going to have that ammunition on the leader, on this particular Grey Knight with the rocks on his base. And the Justicar here will also have Cybolt ammunition, which will add +1 to the damage characteristic of the Storm Bolters. Now we're just going to roll off and see who gets to choose who the attacker is. So start with the Tyranids, who get 5, the Grey Knights, who also get 5. So we'll have to re-roll that. Reroll that again. So 5 and a 1. So the Tyranids will choose who the attacker is out of the two of them. So I'm going to go through all that with the deployment, place some barricades down, and I will return to you. So with the Tyranids being the attackers, they have elected to... with the Tyranids winning the roll-off, they have elected to be the attackers because they wanted to see how the Grey Knights are going to position themselves. As you can see, the Grey Knights, they aren't really scared of any of the firepower that the Tyranids have to offer, so they've all gone for engage, and they've all deployed along there in their deployment zone with the leader on the vantage point. Now the Tyranids have tried their best to hide from the Grey Knights and their Storm Bolters by all going into conceal and hiding behind cover and each other. So with that, we would move into the strategy phase for the strategic ploys, and the Tyranids would play Stalk, which allows them to do a normal move in the strategy phase and a free normal move, and the Grey Knights will do Bolt of Discipline. And also with the selection of the scouting options, both teams have gone with the dash actions, purely because the Grey Knights, there's no real reason why they would choose to change an order during turning point 1, or why they would choose to deploy additional barricades somewhere. And for the Tyranids, the extra dash is really the only option for them, I think, just to get them close as possible. So once I have removed the dice for the deployment zones, I will come back for the start turning point 1, with the Tyranids going first, having the initiative, and we'll go from there. So after that, the Grey Knights had this guy dash up to this location. Tyranids had this Hormigaunt dash up forward, and the normal move was performed by the Hormigaunt right there in the corner, who moved up to there. And also, as you can see, the terminals have been selected. The Grey Knights ended up choosing this for number 1. And then we have number 2 here, number 3 and number 4. So with that being flipped over there, is just showing that that can't be activated for the divert power action to score any VP. So with all that out of the way, we will start with Tyranids' first activation for turning point 1. So the Tyranids revealed 1 attack up, triangulate. The Grey Knights didn't reveal any. The first move of the Tyranids was they activated this Hormigaunt here and this one here, because they have group activation 2. They both moved up and activated that objective, scoring them 2 VP in total for turning point 1. Unfortunately, it does leave the Gaunts exposed to getting shot, so we'll see if that was either a good move from the Tyranids or a bad one, just for that, to secure that 2 VP and deny the Grey Knights those points. The Grey Knights are now going to activate, and they'll activate the leader, who has just done a dash forward, and he's going to take his first shot at this Hormigaunt here, of which he's going to have 4 attacks with his Storm Bolter, which he's hitting on a 2+ because he's the Justicar, and the Storm Bolters are relentless, which means you can reroll any or all of your failed hit rolls. Here we go. So it's a 1 there, so we reroll that into a 1. So it's just going to be 3 hits from the Grey Knight there on the Hormigaunt, who's going to have 3 dice with a 6-up save because he's got no cover. So he makes 1 of those saves, and he would usually take 2 normals, which would normally be 3 damage, so he would normally survive, but in this case, the equipment on the leader, which is a Cybolt ammunition, adds 1 to damage characteristics of the Stormbolter, doing 8 damage in total and killing the Hormigaunt. And because they did Bolter Discipline, he can shoot again. And now that he's killed this Hormigaunt, he's then going to shoot at this one here. Having killed that one, the Grey Knights will also reveal a tack-op that they have, Deadly Marksman, because he has incapacitated an enemy operative while within square of his drop zone. He's going to make the second attack against the other Hormigaunt, 2+. That's 4 hits, and the Hormigaunt with the 3 defense dice. Just 1 save again, which is dead. Hormigaunt, which scores them 1 VP for Deadly Marksman. So now to get the full 2 VP for that Deadly Marksman tack-op, the leader, all he has to do is survive till the end of the game. And that's the end of the Grey Knight activation. The Tyranids activation, we had the Hormigaunt moved up from there to there. And Termagant that was here did the triangulate action and moved up to this location there. So the Grey Knight here, he did a normal move onto that objective, activated it, and then dashed into those boxes there. And Tyranid Gene Stealer here, he was back over here, he did his free dash, which all Gene Stealers get. He did triangulate on this board edge, and he moved up to here. So the Tyranids will score 1 VP for triangulate there as well. So at the end of turning point 1, Tyranids lost 2 Hormagaunts. The Grey Knights were unable to make any more shooting attacks on the Tyranids there. They managed to keep concealed, and this vantage point guy here has his line of sight blocked by that container there. So managed to just stay behind that before he got a chance to overwatch again. However, for the next turning point, that Hormagaunt over there, who was the last activation of the Tyranids, maybe getting shot by him if the Grey Knights get initiative. So it leaves him out and exposed. So at the end of that, the Tyranids scored 2 VP for the primary objective and 1 VP for attack op. And the Grey Knights scored 1 VP for primary and 1 VP for attack ops. I'm just going to roll off to see who has the initiative. Starting with the Tyranids, 6, and the Grey Knights with the 2. So the Tyranids will have the initiative for turning point 2, and they will both regain a CP each, going back to 3 there. We're back for the strategy phase. So in the strategy phase, the Tyranids have again opted to go for the Stalk ability, allowing the Hormagaunt that was here behind the barrels to just do a normal move and sit there, which is 1 CP, leaving them with 2, and the Grey Knights have chosen to spend 2 CP, 1 on Bolt Discipline and 1 on Shock Assault, meaning that an operative can perform either 2 shooting attacks or 2 fighting attacks in their activation. If you want to perform the 2 shooting attacks, you cannot fight during the same activation, and if you want to perform the 2 fight actions, you cannot have shot in that activation. Tyranids revealed attack op, overrun, which means if they can get operatives in each corner of the board that are more than square away from the centre, they will score a VP, and then if they do it in a subsequent turning point, they get 2 VP. So they're going to try and aim for that attack op, and that's that, and we're going to go into the start of turning point 2, in which we are now, if you have a look here, the objective 2 is now disabled, which means it can't be activated, and objective 1 over here is now enabled and is able to have the action performed on it. For the Tyranids' first activation, the Hormagaunt that had moved up to here activated this, then performed a charge action over this scrap pile, which ended here for the last APL and just passed and had nothing left, so they just charged and sat there just to try and stop this guy from getting any shots off. And the second group activation was this Termagant, who moved up from behind this box, and he's going to take a shot at this Grey Knight here with his Acid Maw attack. And the Acid Maw is 4 attacks, looking for 2+. It's splash 1, so any crits will do 1 mortal wound to anyone within circle, I believe. So that's going to be a crit and 2 hits, and that will do an immediate mortal wound to the Grey Knight. And because the Termagant is also within circle, he will also take a mortal wound as well, because he's within his splash of his own weapon. And the Grey Knight's going to have 3 dice, cannot retain any because he's too close, and it's going to be looking for 3-ups. So that's going to be a crit, which will block damage from that, a normal, which will block that, and the attack here will go through doing 3 damage. So in total, the Grey Knight will take 3 damage from this attack, 1 damage from the mortal wound, and the Termagant will take 1 damage. So for the Grey Knight's activation, the Grey Knight that was here has charged the Gene Stealer leader and the Termagant on the objective there. He was just outside of triangle of this Gene Stealer here, so he was able to get to this location. So he's going to perform his charge, and then at this point, the only Tyranid operative on that objective within triangle is the Termagant, who only has 2 APL, with the Grey Knight having 3, which actually means the Grey Knight controls the objective. So he's then going to perform divert power on that to steal it from the Tyranids. And for his final activation, he's going to fight the Gene Stealer leader here. So for that, the Grey Knight has 5 attacks with his Nemesis Falchions, which are relentless, meaning you can reroll any failed hits. And he's going to hit you on a 3+. So that's 2 crits and 2 misses, but he gets to reroll those into 2 misses. So that's 2 crits and a hit for the Grey Knight. And the Gene Stealer leader has his double rending claws. So we're going to have 5 dice looking for 2+, and they are rending, which means any crits, I can change a normal hit into a crit. So that's going to be a crit and a hit for the Gene Stealer leader and 3 misses. This was a crit, I knocked that over. So the Gene Stealer can choose to turn that into a crit due to rending, so it's going to be 2 crits for the Gene Stealer. The Grey Knight is going to parry one of those crits. And then the Gene Stealer leader is going to parry that crit and then take that damage from the Nemesis Falchions, which I believe is 4 damage, normal damage, leaving the Gene Stealer leader at, I think it will be 5. I'll have to get back on that one. And that'll be the end of that Grey Knight's activation. So yeah, the Gene Stealer leader actually has 10 wounds, so he's going to have 6 remaining. And for the Tyranids activation is going to be the Hormagaunt that was just in front of the leader. He's going to charge the Grey Knight here. And because he has 2 other friendlies in combat, he's going to get +2 to his usual weapon skill, which is normally is a 4+, so he's going to be hitting on a 2+. And we're just going to see what happens there. So we'll start with the Hormagaunt. So he's attacking, it's going to be 4 dice, looking for 2+, and his Scything Talons are relentless. So he gets 2 crits and 2 hits. So no need to reroll anything there for relentless. And Grey Knight, again, it's going to be 5 dice, 3+. Rerolling any fails. So that's a crit and all hits on that one. So the Hormagaunt is going to crit the Grey Knight there for 5. And then the Grey Knight's going to block that crit from the Hormagaunt. Then the Hormagaunt's going to hit for 3. And then the Grey Knight's going to block that normal attack there from the Hormagaunt, leaving the Hormagaunt with no attacks left there. And then those remaining hits from the Grey Knight will kill the Hormagaunt, but the Hormagaunt will deal a total of 8 damage there to the Grey Knight. So at the end of the Tyranids activation, the Hormagaunt has died, leaving the Grey Knight with 3 wounds and injured. And then the second group activation, the Termagant here moved up and dashed from behind here. Now we move on to the Grey Knight's next activation. For Grey Knight's activation, the Justicar is going to just leap off the vantage point, go down to this objective here. He's going to then divert power to get the VP, and he's going to take his final APL to shoot at that Termagant there. He's going to have 4 dice, looking for 2+ with his Stormbolter. It's relentless, so you can re-roll those 2 fails there. It's going to be a crit and 3 hits. The termagant doesn't have any cover, so he's going to be rolling 3 dice looking for 6s. Saves none of them, so that is a dead, very dead termagant right there. For the Tyranids activation, this Gene Stealer here performed his free dash to get within square of this kill zone edge and perform Triangulate. I did actually make a mistake with Triangulate last round. I would not have scored 1 VP because I triangulated essentially my own board edge. And I think with these types of missions where the deployment zone is a triangle and you technically have 2 kill zone edges, you usually treat the longer side as your own. So in that case, I will have only triangulated this side and this side here. So I'd actually need to triangulate this edge over here to get my second VP. So I've actually only scored the first VP for Triangulate after that Gene Stealer just did his activation there. So on the Grey Knight's activation, this guy here just moved up to this side of the container, just trying to sort of just stay alive there rather than sort of move up to here and attempt to take these 2 on. So it could end badly for him, just sort of trying to preserve himself to get on that objective for the next turning point. The Tyranid Gene Stealer that was behind here did his free dash and then moved up behind these crates and then back onto the Grey Knight's activation. He just moved up to those crates and he's going to take a shot or 2, most likely, at the Gene Stealer there, who won't be able to retain any dice for being in cover because he's too close. So the Grey Knight's going to be rolling 4 dice, looking for 3 ups. This Stormbolter. It's a crit and a hit, and re-rolling for Relentless, giving us... I may have picked up the wrong dice there. I do believe I had a crit and a hit on the first roll. Then I rolled again and got a crit and a hit, so it's going to be 2 crits and 2 hits. And the Gene Stealer is going to have 3 dice, looking for a 5-up save. Which only makes 1. Gene Stealer having 9 wounds. That means he's a dead Gene Stealer. This Gene Stealer here is going to make a charge from behind there on that warrior. And he's going to have 5 attacks, looking for 3+ with the rending critical rule. No crits, but all hits there. And the Grey Knight will have 5 attacks, looking for 3+, and has a Relentless special rule. So that's just 1 crit. Gets to re-roll all of those into 3 normal hits. And the Gene Stealer, we will just have a quick think about this and come back. So in this situation, the Gene Stealer is just going to do a hit for 4 damage, and then the Grey Knight will do a hit back for 5 damage, and then the Gene Stealer will do another 4, which will kill that Grey Knight, as he only has 8 wounds remaining there. Now for the Grey Knight's activation, the last guy of the Grey Knight is this gentleman here. He's going to attack the Hormagaunt with his Nemesis Falchions, which again, 5 attacks, looking for 3 ups. Re-rolling the fails. It's 2 more fails. And the Hormagaunt is going to have 4 attacks, looking for 4+. Which is a crit, 2 hits, and a miss. And the Hormigaunt Scything Talons are also relentless, if I just remember that. So I get to reroll that into a hit. So the Grey Knight is just going to hit that Hormigaunt for critical damage, which is 5 damage. The Hormigaunt will return in kind, doing 5 damage back, and then the Grey Knight will finish off the Hormigaunt with a normal hit, killing that Gaunt. And then the Grey Knight will have 2 APL remaining for the rest of his activation. So that Grey Knight, for his next activation, he's going to shoot at the Termagant here, who doesn't have any cover, so can't be concealed. He's going to shoot at the Storm Bolter, which is going to be 4 attacks, looking for 3+. That's 3 crits and a hit. So unless this Termagant can roll 3 6s here, he's a dead Termagant. Nope, that is a dead Termagant. And then the Grey Knight there is just going to pass on his final activation and stay where he is. On to the Tyranid activation. The Genestealer leader here is just going to fight back against this Grey Knight. If he scores any hits, that Grey Knight will die. Just going to have the 5 dice looking for 2+. And that's a dead Grey Knight. No need to roll his dice, as that will kill him, because he only has 3 wounds remaining. Then for the Genestealer's activation, he's just going to move up to that crate and just chill there. So something I did forget to mention is when this Grey Knight here actually killed the Hormigaunt, should have revealed the Rob and Ransack, which the text wording is incorrect there. But basically what it means is if you incapacitate an enemy operative while within triangle of them, and there are no other enemy operatives within square, which there's no one anywhere near that, you get 1 VP, and then if that operative who has done the killing survives to the end of the match, you'll score a 2nd VP. So it's similar to Deadly Marksman, but for close combat, basically. But on to the Grey Knight activation. It's just their Overwatch now, so the leader here, who has the best chance at getting hits, is going to shoot at that Genestealer because he's not in cover, he's not concealed, and he's going to be rolling 4 dice looking for 3-ups. And he gets 1 hit and 3 misses, which you can re-roll into 3 misses. So he only gets 1 hit there. And the Genestealer has 3 defense dice to roll, looking for 5-up, which he gets, so he's okay. For the Tyranids, the Genestealer that was behind this scrap pile did a dash and a move just to get to there, behind the container. And now onto the Grey Knight's Overwatch. This Grey Knight is going to Overwatch the Genestealer there. He's going to be hitting on 4s instead of 3s. Can re-roll the misses. So that's just 1 hit again. And the Genestealer gets to roll 3, looking for 5-ups. Getting a crit, which means he takes no damage. It's going to be the final Tyranid activation next. For the final Tyranid activation, this Termagant, he just passed, stayed where he was. And the Termagant behind this container just moved up to those barrels and just stayed there. That's the end of turning point 2. And the Grey Knights scored 2 points for the primary objectives. The Tyranids scored 1. And the Grey Knights have scored another VP for their TAC ops with Rob and Ransack. And the Tyranids have scored technically their first VP for TAC ops this turn, because I got it incorrect with Triangulate on the last turning point. So in the third turning point, objective 3, which is this one here, is going to be the disabled, and these 3, 4, 2 and 1 will be enabled. So we'll just roll to see who has initiative for turning point 3. Tyranids with a 5, Grey Knights with a 5, which means the Grey Knights will have initiative because the Tyranids had it last turning point. So, going into turning point 3, no more attack ops have been revealed. We still have Triangulate for the Tyranids and Overrun for Tyranids, and we still have just the Deadly Marksman and Rob and Ransack for the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights' first activation, this Grey Knight's going to charge from around the back of the container here, and he's going to charge both of these Gene Stealers and fight them both. He's going to start with this one here. He has a warding stave, which is same damage profile as the Gene Stealer claws, which is 4/5, but it also has stun. And the way that works in close combat is the first crit. Let's say you get 2 crits when he rolls. The first one will remove a normal hit from the opponent, and the second one will then reduce his APL by 1. So we'll start off by resolving the combat between these two. So for the Grey Knight, looking for 3+ on 5 dice. And that's all hits except 1, but no crits there, so no stun rule is occurring in that. And the Gene Stealer is going to have 5 dice, looking for 3+, and he has Rending. And that's going to be a crit, which means we can change one of these normals also into a crit, like this. That's a miss, hit, and a hit. So the Grey Knight is just going to hit for 4. The Gene Stealer will return for 5. The Grey Knight will hit for another 4. The Gene Stealer will hit for another 5. And then the Grey Knight will kill the Gene Stealer with that final hit. So this guy has died. And with only 1 wound remaining, that Grey Knight has he knows if he fights the other Gene Stealer, he's probably going to die. But if he doesn't do anything, he's going to end up dying without doing any damage to it. So he is still going to fight that Gene Stealer. So it's going to be the same again. 5 dice, looking for 3+. And he gets a crit there, which means that he can remove 1 of the Gene Stealer's normal hits. 5 dice, looking for 3+. So that's a crit and 2 hits there. So one of those normal hits will just go due to the stun rule on that warding stave. And then the Grey Knight is left with that, which means he will die, because even if he blocks that crit or blocks a normal, the Gene Stealer will just hit him afterwards. So he's just going to crit him for maximum damage, for 5 damage, and then the Gene Stealer will just hit him with either of those and kill him. So that Gene Stealer there will be left with 4 damage and he'll be injured, and the Grey Knight will die. So the Gene Stealer that was here has moved up. He moved up to there, and he had changed his order to conceal. And then this Grey Knight leader activated the objective. He moved to that location there, and he's going to take a shot at the Gene Stealer as he's not in cover there, so he is vulnerable to getting shot. So the leader's going to have, or just to cash, let's say, 4 attacks, looking for 2+. Hitting 2 and missing 2, so we roll those. Turning one of those into a hit there, and Gene Stealer's going to have 3 dice. He's looking for 5+. He needs to get all of these because the Grey Knight has Cyborg ammunition, which is +1 damage to his weapon, so he needs to save all these saves, which he doesn't, so he's dead. So that Gene Stealer has died. So the last activations for the turning point, this Gene Stealer just did a dash and a move up to there, remaining concealed. The Grey Knight here, he then just passed everything on, thinking about he he was going to try and do a move and a dash and then shoot at the leader who was behind that box, but he didn't have enough movement to actually get within range to make him not conceal. He couldn't get within circle of him to ignore the cover and then be able to shoot him. And I felt like that's the best place for him to be in. He's only got 6 wounds left. He wants to try and get this objective in the last turning point, and he's in a good spot to do that. So then this Genestealer leader moved up from there to here. And because he's got light cover on both sides of him, it actually makes him unable to be shot in Overwatch by this guy and by this guy. So I actually kept him safe that turn. The Termagant here, that guy, he just stayed where he was, did nothing, and this Termagant activated that objective right there. And that was the end of turning point 3. And actually made a mistake. The Tyranids have actually made a mistake there. So what they should have done, well, what I should have done is this guy should have stayed in this board half, probably just stayed behind there. But instead he's moved up, which means that I actually don't have the model in each quarter, so I can't score the overrun attack up. So the Grey Knights will score 2 VP for the primary objectives on those two, and the Tyranids will score 1. No more VP is being scored for attack ops. And we'll just roll off and see who goes first for the final turning point. That'll be the Grey Knights. So the Grey Knights just went with Bolt of Discipline again, because why not? The Tyranids went with Stalk. And this Termagant that was behind the barrels here, he just hopped over and moved to there. On the Grey Knight's activation, this Grey Knight moved over the scrap pile to activate that objective there, and you can't shoot him because he's not within circle. And you can't shoot anyone else because they're all obscured. So now the next activation is Tyranids. So for the Tyranid activation, the Termagant who was here, he moved up to there and then did the triangulate action, meaning that they score the second VP for triangulate, having done 3 board edges. And then the Termagant here just activated the objective and passed, staying where he was. The Grey Knight leader just moved to the objective, activated it, couldn't shoot anyone because everyone's obscured. And then we're back onto the Tyranid activation. So for the last activations, this Genestealer here did plant Signal Beacon for 2 AP. Then the Grey Knights had Overwatch, but they couldn't Overwatch anyone, so it came to the Genestealer leader here, who did a dash and a move from this location to here to get into this quarter of the kill zone. And then that was the end of the battle. And at the end, we had the Tyranids scoring 2 VP for triangulate, 1 for overrun for that last turning point, and 2 for plant the signal beacon. Whereas the Grey Knights scored 2 for rob and ransack, 2 for deadly marksman, because both those operatives survived. What that means is the end score of the match, the Grey Knights scored 2 VP for every round from primary objectives except the first, meaning that they scored 7. And the Tyranids for primary objectives scored a total of 5. So 2 for the first round and then 3 for the remaining turning points. Meaning the Grey Knights win with 11 points and the Tyranids lose with 10 points. So it was a close one in the end. And that's the end of the match. So I just want to say thanks for everyone who's watched so far and the people that have subscribed. It's really cool. And if you did like the video and you want to see more, then subscribe, like the video, whatever you want to do, and let me know what you think. See ya.